Good morning. I want to welcome you all here today on behalf of the Menifee family. And the Menifees have granted me a very great honor today. Hopefully I can impart just a fraction of what Colleen has meant to her family, her friends, better, and her community. Colleen Kaler Menifee was born January 11th, 1945 in Muskogee, Oklahoma. She loved that Merle Haggard song, and if you've spent much time with her, you've heard it. As the third child of Henry and Margaret Royalty Kaler, she followed her sister M.K., brother Kelly, and was older sister to her sister Carol. Colleen's father was an inspector who worked for the United States Bureau of Reclamation, and she, like many of us, was a dam kid. The family moved multiple times throughout her childhood. They lived in Tucumcari and Elephant Butte, New Mexico, Ellis, Phillipsburg, and Stockton, Kansas, Trenton, Nebraska, Klamath, Oregon, Santa Maria, Ojai, and finally in Los Banos, coming here for the San Luis Project. Colleen graduated from Los Banos High School in 1963, and in the fall she started college at the University of California, Santa Barbara, majoring in geography. Colleen and Jerry met on a blind date while in college, the date arranged by Tom Calgin. After undergraduate work, they lived in Davis, where Jerry completed his Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, and Colleen worked at the University Library. They were married in 1969, 51 years. They were devoted to each other. They were seldom apart. They accompanied each other to lunch and through life, each supporting the projects of the other. Jerry would have gone to any length to protect Colleen. After leaving Davis, they moved to Florida, where Jerry pursued further professional development. Colleen again worked in a library, her love of books and libraries evident in her later volunteer endeavors. You may remember her arranging for authors to visit Los Banos and her support of the Merced County and especially the Los Banos branch libraries. In the late 1960s, Jerry and Colleen returned to Los Banos, and Jerry opened a veterinary practice and later began farming and ranching. Colleen went to work for Jerry's father and Ron Carter at their dental office. She provided dental care information and guidance to parents. I met Colleen about this time. She joined our bridge club. Their family grew to include 3 children, Scott, Sarah, and Stephen. Scott married Chuan Nunn, Chewy to us, and they have 5 children, Jacob, Kate, Emma, Ava, and Max. Sarah married Stephen Min, and they have 2 boys, Henry and George Stephen. Sadly, tragically, Jerry and Colleen's son Stevie passed away a few years ago. Colleen's sister Carol lives in Orosi, and multiple nieces, nephews, grandnieces, and grandnephews live in the Central Coast area. There is a common thought that if you want something done, you ask for help from the busiest person you know. That busiest person was Colleen. I would be surprised if she ever turned any project or person down. In fact, she was often the one promoting causes and asking for others to join. So many organizations benefit from her enthusiasm. We've tried to remember as many as possible. I think one of the early ones was the Lacaridad Guild of Valley Children's Hospital. Some others were Cub Scout 315, Boy Scout Troop 95, California Women for Agriculture, Rotary International, Save the Library, Friends of the Library, Los Banos Tree Committee, Los Banos Arts Council, and the Westside Community Foundation. She was a Girl Scout leader, was instrumental in getting college for kids started in Los Banos, and promoted the Visiting Authors Program. Colleen was committed to the Los Banos School District as a school board member for 24 years. Recently, she was honored by the Board of Directors, the Merced County Office of Education, with a resolution commending her many years of dedicated service. For years, she was concerned that Los Banos did not have a venue for concerts, theaters, and the like. When the possibility arose for the purchase of the old Catholic Church, she was emphatic that it be purchased and serve this community. She gathered a group of supporters and tirelessly pursued the purchase, remodeling, decorating, and uses of the facility. Colleen was incredible. Not only did she provide her own children with adventures and new experiences, she was generous enough to invite many of us and our children along for the fun. In fact, this group, our children's generation, has been expressing how much they loved Colleen and what she meant to them. We all were lucky to participate in themed birthday parties, trips to the beach house, a drive over the hill to view the Olympic torque progression, a midnight caravan out to see Halley's Comet fly over, Kids' Day parade floats, and impromptu picnics in the hills. Her gold station wagon was always on the move. I was reminded of how a large pot of donut frying oil dumped in the back of that station wagon, and the rancid smell gave rise to her new blazer. Mary Calgin, Martha Fawcett Thomas, Susan Nunemaker Davis, and I have been sharing stories and reminding each other of all the things that Colleen loved and held dear. I assume they will forgive my acts of plagiarism. Obviously, at the top of the list was Sherry and her children and grandchildren. The wonderful experiences, love, and support she shared with them will forever be a part of their lives. She loved the annual 4th of July beach house get-together with her family, her siblings, and her nieces and nephews. It was something she looked forward to every year. Sharing the beach house, the holiday parade, walks along the beach, and the sound of the waves were all a part of that special time. Of course, you can't think of the Menifees without mentioning the annual spring picnic in the hills. Colleen worked diligently to get out an original invitation every year. The entire family worked to bring this large gathering and barbecue together. It was a gathering of old friends, newcomers to Los Banos, and lots of kids playing in the creek. She was always available to also help identify the spring flowers and weeds collected by the high school students. As the four of us sent texts back and forth, we each added our own additional memories of things Colleen loved. I am sure many of you share these very same memories. These included going for neighborhood walks, rollerblading, it's been a few years, having a good cup of coffee, stargazing, admiring the foothills in all seasons, counting hawks, identifying wildflowers, both common and botanical names, going out to the Tule Elk Preserve, sighting birds at our surrounding refuges, and picking sunflowers along Pioneer Road for picnic table bouquets. She loved playing bridge, parades, picassiette, art galleries, concerts, and exploring unique clothing boutiques. Her love of books is well known, and she was a stickler for correct grammar and spelling. She loved good quality pens and paper. She once told me that her distinctive handwriting resulted from a lot of practice in 5th grade. She arranged for a friend to make many knitted Christmas stockings. These continue to be appreciated every holiday season. She made Raggedy Ann and Andy dolls for birthday presents and made my daughter a pillow covered with ribbons she got from a special shop she loved in San Juan Bautista. We all agreed that Colleen delighted in children and their creativity. This list could go on and on. There was never an end to her enthusiasm and her interests. As we all have our special memories of time spent with Colleen, I'm going to share a couple of mine. Years ago, Colleen and I started going to garage sales. We would get the Enterprise, check out what we considered the most promising locations, get a cup of coffee, and head out. I had forgotten that our original reason for starting these hunts was to look for pottery and other materials for her picassiette projects. That was the original purpose. We expanded our hunt. We looked for antique dishes, anything with a state name on it, flower pots, especially if they contained a cactus. And many years ago, in one grand haul, we bought at least a dozen wrought iron chandeliers. We were pretty sure that everyone we knew would want one. Not so. I gave my last one away to a niece, and I think the Menifees just got rid of their remaining stock. Our garage sale adventures eventually gave way to a cup of coffee, enjoyed sitting outside Starbucks, or with a walk. These mornings were how I kept up with Cotton Sarah's children. She loved being Mimi, and she shared the latest photos and updates in her phone. She so loved trees and would paint whenever we came by one that had been severely pruned. She hated seeing trees reduced to stubs. In time, we started carrying scissors and wire cutters with us so that if we came upon a tree that had outgrown its initial staking, we liberated it. Our garage sale hunts and early morning walks will always be memories that I cherish. During her last month, Colleen fought with bravery, grace, and dignity. About 2 weeks ago, I joined Sarah at the Stanford Hospital, where we visited with Colleen through her window. She was anxious to share with us the places she lived as a child. As damn kids, we shared a background of moving from project to project. When Colleen came home from the hospital, she was grateful for the visits, the cards, the texts, the flowers, and the outpouring of love she received. I went to visit. She was surrounded by music, family, and friends. I leaned over to whisper to her about our trips to Starbucks, and she surprised both Sarah and me when she responded that we should go to the Lucky Strike. When I last saw her on Thursday, February 25th, she was in the loving care of Sarah and Chewy. The room was quiet, serene, and the light a bit dimmed. She appeared to me to be cuddled, wrapped in love. I believe she was at peace. She left us that evening. As I mentioned before, I am honored and I am humbled to be speaking today. Colleen was a dear friend that I will miss for the rest of my life. On my phone is a string of text messages and a voice message from her, never to be deleted. I close with this. Colleen, we are all here today to honor you and share our memories. Our hearts are broken because you're not here with us. Godspeed.